Welcome to a brand new episode of the post game. I'm your host, Davion. I'm joined by Oronde.
What's up?
And it's been a while, man. I feel like it's been like a couple of months, I think, since we've recorded anything on this channel. Just life is just so much fun when we're busy, isn't it?
Gotta love being a busy adult during the
Gotta
winter
love being,
season.
gotta love being an adult, trusted citizen to society. But yeah, welcome back to the post game. Like I said, I'm your host, David, and there's Oronde. And today we are going to talk about so let me start over. We are 11, 12 weeks now into the National Football League. And we have seen a head coach get fired. We've seen two coordinators get fired over the past couple of weeks. And Matt Canada and Frank Reich was fired this morning. Where do you think? Well, first, do you think these firings were okay? And then who do you think else is on the hot seat to be fired?
I don't think he should have been fired so soon. Like, I don't understand the one and done if you're not an interim coach. If you were a full hiring candidate, you at least deserve a year. Also, that's just wasting money on a contract, in my opinion. So no, I don't think he should have been gone so soon. When they gave Matt Rule 3 years, granted, he has a better resume if you want to look at it like that. But at the same time, they gave him 3 years. Why did they only give Reich one? Now, apparently, a quote from Tepper, um, well, Tepper was quoted yelling "fuck" on his way out of the locker room after they lost to the Titans.
Well, I saw that well, I feel like so, with us being in the Carolinas and me being in Charlotte and you're pretty close by, like when you look at everything that's happening and you look at the draft, let's go back to draft night. And let's go back to what the vision was whenever they drafted. Um, I feel like in my opinion, the quarterback coach, who was Josh McCown, and Frank Reich, they really wanted CJ Stroud. They really wanted him. They were bought in. They wanted the Ohio State losing. The Ohio State guys, and I think David Tepper made the decision to pick Bryce Young. What we saw yesterday against the Tennessee Titans was an absolute joke, in my opinion. They were down 17-3, and they scored a trash touchdown to make it seem close. But Bryce Young was all over the field. In my opinion, I think they 100% should have fired him. Do I think it was early in the season, right? Like week 11 is too early? Yes, I think if you allow him to play out the rest of the season or coach out the rest of the season and then fire him, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. But for him to be able to for him to be able to like leave and they fire him now, that's a problem. Or no, that's not a problem. I'm okay with it. It's just I think David Tepper is right now. He is a win now owner. He does not understand that it takes time to win football games, to win championships, to win divisions, and he's impatient. And we've seen it with Ron Rivera being fired, with Steve Wilkes not being brought back, with Frank
And
Wright being fired.
Steve Wilkes was gone too soon. Bro went 6-6 in 12 games
Yeah, yeah, and
with
he didn't
argue
bring him back.
with a worst roster.
And now he's at the San Francisco 49ers being a defensive coordinator, as being one of the better ones in the National Football League, and he'll probably have a head coaching job next year, realistically. And so, in my opinion, like what head coach wants to come to Carolina? Why would you want to risk yourself for 11 weeks? Um, and it's stupid because like Tepper's now paying for two contracts. He's now paying for not David Tepper, Frank Reich and what's the idiot Nebraska? I can't remember his name. He was a
Matt
head coach
Rule.
last year. Huh?
Are you talking about Matt Rule?
Yes, Matt Rule. So now, I mean, now he's just costing his team more money. Granted, he has all the money in the world to deal with that, but like still, it's still there. And
The only
so,
person reportedly interested, it's obviously still a rumor, is just Greg Olson. Nobody else has been heard, even given an eyeball at the Carolina
and
job.
he hasn't coached a day.
Well, technically he has coaching experience, but I'm not going to get too into that.
Where's he coached?
He has coached, I believe, at the high school level on top of coaching baseball, which
Oh, really?
is
Well, I know he coaches baseball for his son, but I've only heard the horror stories of him getting thrown out of baseball games.
he is a very passionate head coach. Can tell you that from
Passionate human being.
personal experience.
Jeez. So when we look at the NFL, we look around the league at head coaches that could potentially be on their way out. Well, like I have a few. Name, but do you have any that definitely you think should be losing their job?
I don't think he should, but I have a poor suspicion that Ron Rivera will probably not be coming back next season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
I
100%
don't
agree.
want him to lose his job, but you have to point the gun at somebody, and unfortunately, it'll probably be him.
Well, it's really bad right now. Like
But his career
very
is
bad.
definitely not over though.
No, 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 no. It was if he wants it to be. I think it's not an awful way to go out. I mean, but in my opinion, I think he's one of the ones that are for sure. I think is gonna go. I think um,
Brandon Staley has got to be one of them though.
that's literally what I was gonna. Yep, yep. He
I'm
has,
I feel so bad for Justin. You know how
but
bad you
he.
have
I
to
would
be to
say
piss
though,
off
Justin
Justin
looked
Herbert?
awful last night too, though.
To whose fault is it? His O line's fault. Bro couldn't
Yeah, you're
even
right.
have a
And coach, like,
chance on
yeah.
4th and 13. How did a free man come off the left side? How does that
Oh,
happen? You don't let that happen.
I mean, you should know that there's a blitz that's gonna come. It's fourth and 13. They've been blitzing all night.
They came
Well,
in
relatively they were
so
conservative in the
so
first half when it comes
free.
to blitzing, but they blitzed. Like, what do you like? What do you expect? What are you doing, coach? Like, I think he's definitely one that's gonna go. I think
I
Matt Aberflue is gone. He has to be right.
But speaking of coaching positions in general, I feel that they should not have gotten Buffalo should not have gotten rid of Ken Dorsey because it was not his fault. Josh Allen was just bad. Josh Allen is just bad
Mm,
at this point. Bro needs to
yeah.
be humbled. But yes, Eberflus is. I've been seeing the rounds on TikTok of everybody saying Canada's gone, Matt's next, or in the comments somebody's like, it's pain to see someone out here living your dream when Matt Eberflus is still coaching.
Yeah, he's bad. So I think he's gonna go. Who else do I think is on their way out? Um, Buffalo's head coach. Why can't I remember his name?
Um, Scott McDermott,
Yeah, I think McDermott is on the
Sean
hot seat.
Sean McDermott.
I mean Sean, yeah. I think he's in the hot seat. I think there is definitely room for him to be on his way out the door. Um, if they miss the playoffs, which right now they are not in the playoffs, if they miss the playoffs, I think he's gone. Um, who else I think's gone? I had a long list. I'm gonna bring it up. Bill Belichick.
I was hoping you wasn't going to mention him.
Should he be gone?
No,
Why?
why? Because Max sucks.
I agree.
And Bailey Zappi is no better because they are the same person.
Yeah.
And not to mention, so given because you already know Belichick's mostly defense driven,
Hmm.
given the fact that they have held opponents to 10 or less points, they are still 0-6 when it comes to one score games.
Yeah.
You can have the most amazing defense. If you can't score, ironically enough, the Jets, they put up points on defense and have won games solely because of their defense and special teams.
Yeah.
But we can barely even do that. We have a top 5 defense. Well, I'll say top 10. Top
More
10 is
respect.
all right.
More
Yeah.
respect.
Top 10 defense with a bottom 3 offense. We just got outgained by the Steelers, who just got rid of Matt Canada. Granted, Kenny Pickett can actually throw the ball, but watching the Giants game, as I watched the first half of it, It was pain. It was pain. What do you mean Mac is throwing an interception? What do you mean you had an open tight end up the seam and you throw it to a linebacker who was 5 yards behind him? How does that happen? It doesn't make any sense. How can you be this trash? Mac is garbage. What happened from the beginning of the season where he had 400 yards, 400, like 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns against Miami, which they have a good defense, a respectable defense, and you fall off the cliff. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. And
Well,
their play calling is not even worse than Panthers, because tell me why the Panthers go
yeah. I
on
mean,
4th and 6, throw a bubble screen. Be for real.
I personally don't think he should be gone unless he wants to leave, in my
And I don't
opinion.
think he's done. He's
I
not going
don't
to
think
leave on
he's wait,
he's
like
not going to leave on an L like that.
no, I don't think he's done either. And I think it's harsh for people to say, oh my gosh, he needs to be gone. He needs to go. He needs to go. He needs to go. Maybe stepping down from that general manager position.
I think he's already on his way down from GM position, because I remember seeing reports about it earlier this
Yeah.
season.
I mean, I think he should just be the head coach, in my opinion. That's what he needs to do. That's what he should do. I
I
think
wonder what would be cool if Bill just, if he can
became a
find,
coordinator.
yeah, if he just became a DC.
I don't know if he likes
I'd
talking.
honestly be fine with Bill just being a DC, because
That
he
would
is,
never happen.
I know it
It-
will never happen, but I would be okay with it if we can find someone like, I don't know, someone with Kellen Moore who brought a bottom 5 offense up to top 3
yeah.
within a few seasons. That would be awesome. But you can scheme so much. Like Sean McVay, great, probably arguably one of the best schemers of all time.
100%.
But you can't scheme without talent. And what do
Yeah.
we not have right now? Talent in the QB position.
Well, I think, and you know what it is, and I think because Bill is such a defensive heavy guy and defensive heavy coordinator, he's going after only that. Like he's going like in the draft for all the years. He's always gone after defensive or O linemen or just things that people don't really aren't the flashy guys. They aren't the receivers. They aren't the running backs. They're the quarterbacks. That's what Bill has always gone after. And so I feel like that is a reason why now it's coming to bite him in the butt. And it's like, all right, we got to figure this out. We gotta go back this offseason. We need to go to square one. Are you drafting a quarterback? Are you drafting a quarterback, Oronde?
You would need to. If you don't, you're failing the organization.
No. I mean, you're gonna have a top 5, top 6 pick, and
We're
so
gonna have a
that
top 3 pick. We're second right now, as a matter
hey,
of fact.
I was just
We're second and third.
throwing in room for wins. All right, nice.
What wins? What wins? We lost to Tommy DeVito, the Gabagool. We are not winning any more games.
Yeah, it was 7-10. That was a joke. Anyway, so you're sitting here, and I let you get yours off about your team. Now it's time for me to talk about my New Orleans Saints. I have not been so mad, and I think I might make a video.
His contract.
I think I might make a video after this about the Saints and what's been going on. But when you look at New Orleans, when you look at everything that we have, there's one man to blame. Sean Payton. Another man to blame. Hold on, there's more. There's more.
Oh,
I want to collect myself. Dennis Allen.
Hmm?
What's his name? Carmichael. I can't remember his first name because it's irrelevant. Our offense coordinator. Another man, Derek Carr. All of them should be fired. Starting with the Dennis Allen. And here's my problem with the Saints in our organization. Ms. Benson, I love her more than anything in the world. But the thing is if we win this division below or above 500, if we win the division at all and we will go into the playoffs, she won't fire them. She probably will not fire them. They should be gone. They are terrible offensive. Steve Carmichael, I think is his first name. He is an awful offensive coordinator. Awful. We have talent at the receiving, running back, tight end position, but we cannot win football games. We scored 5 field goals this week, and we lost with 2 interceptions for our defense to the Atlanta Falcons. That's a joke, absolute joke. And so I think personally, we need to fire Dennis Allen. Carmichael's gone, and Derek Carr needs to be cut. He's done. He's sorry. He's terrible. He is terrible. There was nothing good for Derek Carr. And I know at the beginning of the season, I was sitting there and I was sitting on my high horse about it. But you know what? It's fine. So yeah, Dennis Allen's gone. Carmichael's gone. Um, other head coaches that should be fired. Let's look. That's good.
I
Man.
mean, we've said the main ones,
I got a name.
but
I
I
got a
do
name.
want.
I got a name.
Oh, you got a name?
Yeah, Mike Vrabel. Hot seat.
Uh
Hot seat.
no,
Why
no,
not?
no one's been talking about him like at
I
all.
know, but I feel like
He's got another.
this is
He's
the
got
second
another
season in a
year.
row where they've had a pretty questionable year.
He's got another year. He's
I'm
got
okay
another
with
year
that. I'm
bumper.
not saying he should be fired. I think his name should definitely be on the hot seat.
He's on his name will probably be on the rise, but he's not a hot seat yet, unfortunately.
I mean, just
And I'm
from
not
what I'm
saying
seeing,
that
it's
as
two
a
seasons in a row of having bad years. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying that as a you know Patriots enjoyer because he is a former Patriot, but
Yeah, I know. I
he's
understand.
still he is still like I don't you know what's funny because I'm looking at the standings right now. They are 4-1 at home and an 0-6 on the road. They have not won a single road game this year, along with the Panthers. Also, the Jaguars are undefeated on the road, but 3-3 at home. So very interesting dynamics around the league right
And if I'm
now.
not mistaken, they're still number one
Oh yeah, Jaguars have
yeah,
it handily
in the
2-game
AFC.
lead.
Isn't that interesting? The AFC belongs to the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Humbling experience, isn't it? No, the Ravens are on top now.
The Ravens are the only 9-win team currently
Yeah, that is why they're on
in
top.
the AFC, which brings me to another point. Uh, I don't know about um who am I thinking of? Speaking of division leaders,
Philly,
Philly. What are we going to do with them?
I think, and they're realizing it too. Like they're realizing that we're not good. Like we aren't winning these football games handedly. Like if like, did you watch the game? You watched the game the other night?
I watched the last quarter because I was busy, but I watched the last quarter because I was before the concert, but that uh,
They just
how
look
you
like
let
they
how,
just as a team, like Jalen Hurts, Kelsey, like they just look frustrated. They look like they're
how'd
aroused.
you
They look like
let
they
the
just
Bills drop 34 points?
on their defense, on the Eagles defense. A
How does
Bills
that
team that has
happen?
been awful, by the way. I think you have to look out for them. Do you think that they can go back to the Super Bowl? I mean, because look, the NFC isn't.
Oh, the NFC is so weak. They have a pretty good chance of going back to the Super Bowl.
I would say though, there are two teams that to me are like. There's only three teams in the NFC, in my opinion. The Eagles, 49ers, and the Lions. That's it.
You gotta have the Cowboys in there,
No, I don't.
unfortunately.
I'm not putting them in.
You have to. You're
Why?
obligated to. They're one of the other 8-win teams.
Who have they
Even though
played? Who have they played?
they have such a weak schedule, you kind of have to let them in. That's what I'm getting at. They have such a weak schedule. They're gonna be at minimum wild card,
Fine,
let alone a playoff berth.
fine, I
You
guess.
can't ignore the Cowboys. I'm sorry to say it. Even
Okay, I'm not
it
ignoring
even
Cowboys, but
pains
I
me
would
to say.
say that they have flown so far under the radar this season than I have heard at all. I mean, if you look at sports media, it's usually every other day. Cowboys this, Cowboys that, Cowboys this, Cowboys that. But it's not there. It's just
Oh,
not. It's
they're pointing their guns at all these unsung heroes coming up in the ranks,
yeah.
like Josh Dobbs,
And the
Mr.
Lions.
DeVito, the Lions. Yes.
How about the Lions, man? 8-3. Are we shocked about that?
No, no. I've been riding the Lions way for the last 2.5 years. I am well aware of their forthcomings. Shout out Lillian. Shout out Lillian for real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. I
Also,
guess I was a year too early to the Lions. To the Lions parade.
you
Last season I
were.
was on the Lions too, and they let me down. So I was a year
Uh,
too early.
uh, Speaking of the Lions, Hendon Hooker will be getting back to physical stuff soon from his ACL tear.
Oh, just in case Jared Goff wants to retire here early. Do you think he'd be serviceable in the league?
He does. He shows promise with his athleticism.
Yeah.
If he comes back well from this ACL, he will be. He gives me RG3 vibes minus the ability to super scramble like he does.
Yeah.
Shout out Robert, funny dude. But
Oh, great. Oh, internet clown, man. Absolute clown on the internet. Cracks me up. Just I go on Twitter, I can't scroll on Twitter without coming across his Twitter and just reading something stupid.
someone
But
did say if they put him and Pat on a show, they would call it who would get fired first.
who do you hey, that would be I don't know who would win that debate.
I have no idea either.
It's crazy, man, looking at these playoff pictures. Maybe we'll talk about that next, actually, the playoff picture right now and where everybody's shaping up at. But the NFC and the AFC, I mean, the AFC is scarily strong. Like, truly the top four in the AFC can beat the entire, I think, top five in the NFC. Dolphins, Jaguars, Chiefs, Ravens. And that Ravens defense, man, they look incredible. They
I've
are
I
back to
have
their
not
scary
kept up
ways.
with the Ravens defense at all, aside from when Kyle Hamilton absolutely looked menacing on a pit six a few weeks ago.
Well, they came out and man, they hit everything and anything that's moving, they putting down. And it's like it's so scary that you got the commentators now going, man, that hurt. Like just like you can just see it that like these hits that these guys are putting on are just ooh different, different.
I'm glad that being a Notre Dame enjoyer, I'm glad that Kyle has turned into an absolute monster of a safety like I wanted him to. I
Yeah,
called it too. I absolutely called it when he got drafted. I was like, this tall monster is going to put up is going to be a problem. And he
yeah.
just happened to go to one of the more defense heavy organizations in the NFL.
We could also talk about like how the Ohio State led CJ Stroud he's doing especially after that loss this last weekend to Michigan, I mean to the Jaguars. um it's just a hard game.
Is what killed me about that. It's the reps. They're
Yeah.
calling ghost holds. I sat there and watched a lot of the I watched like a condensed version of the game, and bro ran a was it an out curl. The cornerback didn't even get a chance to touch him, and they called holding on the cornerback for the Texans. Huh?
Man, could you imagine like at the beginning of the season that we'll be saying that the Broncos and the Texans game this week is going to be a good game? Like Broncos are 5 out
I
of their
would have
last five. Texans are exceeding expectations, being I think they're 6-4, 6-5. Like,
I would have been like, this is a Texan blowout at the beginning of the season.
oof.
But now I have to say that the Broncos can fight with them.
And both of these two teams are trying to battle for a spot into the playoffs. I
And
think the Colts should drop.
Denver's
I
not
think
winning a shootout though. Denver cannot allow a shootout because
no.
Tank Dell will piece
No.
them up.
Yeah, they don't want
Piece
that.
them up.
They don't want that. They don't want that at all. I definitely think the Browns are going to fall off a map and they're going to fall out of the playoffs. I think the Colts are going to fall out of the playoffs. Pittsburgh can stay if they want, truly. And I think the Broncos, Bills, Texans will probably sneak into those final three spots.
Mm.
Will be interesting. But anyway, we'll appreciate you guys for listening. If got it this far. just a stressful season, man, for Saints and Patriots fans. It's just not fun. Just I'm not having fun anymore, you know?
Put me out of
I
my
don't want to watch.
misery.
I just don't want to watch anymore. Um, and so let us know how your team's doing. Let us know what you want us to talk about in these next couple of videos. We're gonna try to get back to being more normal and regular on the channel. But yeah, if we don't, check out my shorts. Those are up like once a day for the most part. Oronde, appreciate you for joining. I've been your host, Davion. This has been the post game. Peace.